Hey, I'm Nick.
And I'm Ally.
And this is the But Have You Tried Bookshelf.
Today we are talking about, drumroll, Dial of Destiny.
Dial of Destiny.
Amongst other things.
That's
All
right.
the usual suspects. But
And
also
I
Dial of Destiny.
Found out that just by coincidence, we're recording on July 13th. You know what July 13th is, Allie?
I definitely do not.
Harrison Ford's birthday.
Oh.
Harrison
well, happy
Ford
birthday, Harrison Ford.
is 81 years old today.
Oh, my gosh.
So I know. Good for him. God bless.
Honestly, though.
So last time around, we were talking Indiana Jones, and we have a joint assignment of watching Dial of Destiny. So that's going to be the first thing on the bookshelf today is the old Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So why don't you begin? Where did you see it? When did you see it? Who did you see it with? What snacks were involved?
Okay. I saw it on Monday because procrastination.
Sure. Okay.
Is a thing.
You did it, though.
I did it. That's really what matters.
Yeah.
It was like the situation where we were like, maybe we'll go this weekend. And then we looked at the weekend and we were like, maybe we'll go on Monday.
Yeah.
But I went to the AMC theaters in Olean.
Okay. Shout out.
Is the theater that I basically always went to when I was growing up if
Okay.
I wanted to see a movie.
Yeah.
That was
used
the one.
to be Carmike Cinemas back
I know.
in the day. You
That's
remember
what
that?
I remember,
Okay,
yeah. The seats are a lot cushier now,
They
I
are.
have to say.
They're nice.
I'm okay with that. So Caleb and I went to saw it. We didn't eat any snacks during the viewing of the movie, but on the way home we did devour like almost an entire loaf of French bread. just like by
just
a hand,
plain.
like hunks
Wow.
of French bread.
Okay. You're like a couple of Charles Dickens extras driving home.
It adds to the appeal of the bread, I have to say, to just be like,
Just
I'm
take
a
a
street urchin.
Just take a hunk.
Yeah.
Sure. I actually saw it twice.
Twice. Double
because
duty.
Yes, because my son was really excited about seeing it at the drive-in. So we went to the drive-in with my brother and my wife and my son, and we watched it, but it was really hard to hear. And my son fell asleep, and I kind of walked away that first time not really being into Dial of Destiny.
Okay.
But my son really wanted to see it again, so we went to the Spotlight Cinemas, not in Hornell, over in Warsaw.
Okay.
And we saw it again, and they had a bunch of Indiana Jones swag, and so we got an Indiana Jones popcorn bucket
nice.
and a cup with a hat on it. And
That's fun.
It was $5 to get both of them. So what am I going to resist
incredible.
a deal like that? So that's how I watched it the second time, and my son did fully stay awake the second time,
That's
as
good.
did I.
Good to hear.
So let me have it. What did you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I liked it.
Did you?
I thought
Okay.
it was a good time.
How do you think it sits with the rest of them?
Overall, I feel like it works pretty well with the rest of them.
Yeah.
I was definitely somewhat concerned about, like, how are they going to... Because I feel like they already kind of did the, like, years later thing with Crystal Skull.
Yes.
So I was like, how's this going to work exactly?
Mm-hmm.
And it felt a little weird that Mutt was just, like, gone
Yes.
totally.
Yeah.
And Marion wasn't there for, like, most of it.
90% of it, yeah.
Probably more than 90%,
True,
I'd say.
that's true.
If you were going to do the math.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it had the right feeling, and I didn't think it, like, horribly undercut what was done before or anything like that. And I thought it made enough sense in terms of, like, the overarching story.
Yeah. I think we left it last time that both Last Crusade and Crystal Skull had really solid endings.
Right.
I don't really think Dial of Destiny is a better ending or a better swan song.
That's fair.
I don't think there's anything much new there to talk about. To me, rewatching them again, I do think Crystal Skull fits a little bit better tonally than Dial of Destiny does. It feels like a very different kind of movie, which I think works for the most part. The first time I saw it, I felt bored. I don't really know. I guess light spoilers ahead. We'll try to keep huge spoilers at bay, I suppose. But
minimal spoilers.
light
forthcoming.
spoilers. The whole, like, him being framed for murder was like an element that I didn't really feel like.
Well, and also the fact that I feel like they
necessary.
actually barely touched on.
And
They were
yeah,
like,
they're
"Oh,
like-
you're on the run
and
for
then,
murder."
like, completely
Never comes
forgot.
up again.
It's never resolved. Yeah. So I thought that was weird, and I felt like that motorcycle chase was a full half hour. But I guess I was just more into it the second time than the first. How did you feel about new characters?
I liked new characters for the most part.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Helena.
I thought she was fun.
Okay.
And I also appreciated her, especially given that Indiana Jones as a franchise kind of has a history of like underserving its women characters.
Yes, it does. Yes.
And I was like, yeah, she's a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of a nice like little recompense, I guess.
One thing, watching it from the lens of today, I feel like the Indiana Jones movies are pretty terrible when it comes to representation all around. It's a very, it's a pretty world
Yes.
in the Indiana
Yes.
Jones franchise. Of course, there are exceptions to that. I don't think this movie did much to change that.
No, I would agree.
You know, so that's a weird move. I was shocked that Hugh Kwan didn't show up.
I really wanted
I
him
did-
to. I thought that would have been fun.
Yeah, I would have taken a hastily thrown together cameo
Right.
and credit sequence, like whatever. I just think like, wow, weird to not do.
I feel like, especially because they had that other kid who like had kind of
Yeah.
that short round.
He had short round energy.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah,
I feel like it would have made sense to have some kind of little
Something.
tie-in. But
Something. Well, I think you got to be really careful in a movie like this when you tee up something like when they're going to find the boat, and Indiana Jones is like, I got an old friend who can help us with this.
uh-huh.
And it's not Short Round, and it's not anybody from any of the movies. It's no one recognizable. It's just like Antonio Banderas for some reason, and I don't know why.
Which was fun, but I feel like it could have been a good moment for a callback.
It could have. Or just don't say it. Just don't say it in
Just
that
be
way.
like, oh, I know someone.
I probably would have not included Sala. I don't think that was a really helpful inclusion.
It felt like a little more of a cameo, I guess,
It
because he
did.
didn't do that much in this story.
Right.
And it was fun to see him.
It was.
But it didn't necessarily serve the plot very much, I guess.
Mm-mm. No, and if we're going to do gratuitous cameo, Ki-Hugh Kwan, that's my request. Can we talk about what happens with the Dial of Destiny? What do you think?
I think we can, as long as we be like, spoilers. Forthcoming.
Okay. I think we know that it's kind of a time travel story. I think with that in mind, the time travel element both was underserved and worked better than I thought it was going to work.
That's fair.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty fair description. I thought the whole stuff with the dial and the time travel was just really confusing. Because
Yes.
it was, at first it was like, is it talking about time travel or is it talking about almost like a splitting timelines kind of Loki
Yes.
kind of situation? Because when they said fissures in time, that was what I thought of at first.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, time travel is happening. And I was like, how? Well,
Yes. Now, did you a little bit think Shia LaBeouf might have walked in the end there? Were you expecting that in any way?
I didn't. It didn't
You
even
think
cross my
that.
mind.
Okay, because we do get some resolution for what happens to the Mutt character, and I feel like it does serve the plot. I think it explains the estrangement between Indy and Marion, and I think some of the changes in Indy you kind of see. Seeing it a second time, it's actually keyed up earlier than I thought. When you pan his apartment in the very beginning. Did you notice?
I did notice that.
Okay, we have a little folded flag, and we have a
The, like,
picture
little
of Shia
photo,
LaBeouf.
yeah.
And it's mentioned one other time, but I thought Harrison Ford acting surrounding that was really good.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought the Marion scene was great.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I just wish there had been more of that. But
I do, but I was honestly more okay with her showing up in the end than I expected to be.
I think I would have been more fine with that whole plot line with their separation, etc., if the exact same thing hadn't happened in The Force Awakens. Because it kind of just feels like
You're
another
right.
Harrison Ford movie
I
where
didn't even
he's
think about
old,
that.
his child is dead
Yeah.
or in some other way gone,
Yeah.
and he's estranged from his spouse who everyone was very excited to see them to get together. And so I was
Yes.
just kind of like, same song, second verse.
Wow. Good pull, Allie. I didn't think about that at all.
Even
really
some of the
didn't think about that
lines
at all.
where he's like, she doesn't want to talk to me. I swear he says the exact same thing about Leia in The Force
He
Awakens.
might.
And I
Yeah.
was like, come on,
Yeah.
give me a break.
Also, the Han and Leia theme, not that dissimilar from the Indy Marion
This
theme.
is true.
So there's
This
a
is
little
true.
bit
There's-
of that.
there's
like
some
horns
parallels.
And
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't even know which one I was just humming. I don't know if that was
I
Han and Leia
couldn't
or if that
tell
was
you.
Marion.
My gut is Han and Leia, but I'm
Okay.
not positive on
All right,
that.
you may be right. All totaled, I think the movie was better than I expected it to be. I don't think it was super necessary, but I think I know. I liked it quite a bit.
Okay, good.
I liked it quite a bit. I don't know that I could rate them necessarily, and if I did, I don't really know where it would fall.
I feel like it's weird to rate them when it's like you have three that are clearly the originals.
Yeah.
A bonus one and then a bonus
Bonus,
one.
bonus.
And so it's like even if you really like the Dial of Destiny,
Yeah.
it just feels absurd to rate it higher than like Raiders of the
Yeah.
Lost Ark. Like
Yeah.
it feels like there should be different tiers.
I do feel like you miss a little bit of the Spielberg-Lucas magic in there. I mean, I think James Mangold is a good filmmaker, and I think the movie is technically well made and a good film. But there's something about that, like, just old school Stardust that I don't think was in this one necessarily. I saw some complaints that it wasn't puzzly enough, And there wasn't enough like classic Indiana Jones figuring things out, and you don't really get that until you get to Archimedes' tomb, and then that stuff is fun, and you get it. And I feel like there's enough of it there. But yeah, I think overall it's a very serviceable, like good sequel.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have done it.
that's fair. I think you're totally right that it wasn't necessary, but it was like, well, all right, sure, we'll take it. Thanks.
How did you feel about the 20-minute like de-aged Harrison Ford?
That was probably my least favorite part.
Yeah.
Like it introduced the villain in a way that I thought was interesting and important and gave you time with Baz and very like a classic-y kind of Indiana Jones sequence. Yeah. But it just kept going and I was kind of like, are we going to get to Old Man Harrison? Because that's what I came here for. Like.
Yeah. My wife had a really similar response to that. I had a pretty good time with it. Was it gratuitous? Yes, I think probably it was. And I also feel like if you're going to spend the money to de-age his face, maybe toss a filter on there so he doesn't sound like an 80-year-old man.
I feel like maybe they tried, but just not very much.
Yeah, because the first time he opens his mouth, I'm like, ooh, that's an old man.
Yeah.
Because he is,
Yeah.
But so I don't know.
Yeah, it had shades to me of that opening scene in Wonder Woman 1984 when it's just like, again, like 20 minutes of just like young Diana doing like this race.
They're like, we got to
for
get the
no
Amazons
reason.
in here somehow.
And then there's
it.
like zero tie-in for the entire rest of the movie. It's not even alluded to.
Yeah.
But, which I will say this was, it was much more servicing like the plot here than in Wonder Woman.
Put Short Round in that scene. You
that
know what I mean? Like if we're going to do it, just do it. Like if it's a greatest hits scenario, which this really wasn't, and I was expecting more greatest hits, honestly, of like ghosts of Indy's past. But got to settle for Sala and Marion, I guess. I loved the score, and I mean that's pretty. I love all Indiana Jones music. That Temple of Doom theme from the Nintendo game, which is also in the movie, is one that I love. I love the Raiders March, but I thought this actually really stood out to me as a technically like well-crafted score. I think
awesome.
Helena's theme I think is really good. I've listened to it a little bit on Spotify too, but even like while watching it, I would like to have this. They're putting out a cool vinyl version of it,
fun.
and I would like to have that.
Okay.
How do you feel about Indiana Jones music overall?
I think it's really nice. I'm like not a huge like soundtrack person.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about Hillary like just like just going over her head.
Yes.
And I feel like sometimes I can be in the same boat where it's like I'm enjoying it at the time, but I like
couldn't think of the theme.
I don't have as distinctive a memory of it afterward. But I know that like the main like ba 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 like that's just a blast. And I feel like the way that they kind of work that in throughout is just really good.
Yeah, it's sampled quite a lot, but in a way that feels like you got to have the theme there.
Yeah.
But I think it's really good work from John Williams, and I don't feel like his work on the Star Wars sequels were as good as this.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any new, because I've listened to those soundtracks a million times too. And outside of maybe like Rey's theme
Rey's theme does stand out, I gotta say.
But outside of that music is very nothing. But this I feel like really, really did some good stuff here. So this discussion was kind of like our Dial of Destiny to our original Indiana Jones episode.
Came later, but tied everything together.
Did people want it? I don't know. Speaking of what people want, we did a poll on our social media. So again, you can follow us at D.A. Howe Library on Twitter or David A. Howe Library on Facebook. We did a poll on favorite Indiana Jones movies. Predictably, Dial of Destiny got nothing, but Temple of Doom didn't get much love either.
That doesn't surprise me, I gotta say.
No, I know, but there's so much about that movie that I love. And it was kind of a horse race between Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade, but ultimately Raiders pulled through as the favorite.
See that? I feel like Last Crusade is really, really the one.
Are you still sticking with Last Crusade as your favorite?
I'm still sticking with Last Crusade as my favorite.
Yeah. My son, who's 9, his favorite is firmly the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh.
Nothing really
even
comes close.
Choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think he's been listening to the audiobook of Crystal Skull also, but he really liked Mutt as a character. He liked Indy having a son, and he liked all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, Crystal Skull does have more of a modern movie kind of feel. So,
and if that's more what you're used to, like when you're a younger person, I feel like that definitely has some pull.
Yes. I don't think the time travelingness of the end of Dial of Destiny is more outlandish than Crystal Skull or even Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, I feel like in some ways, like when you think about the other ones, it's really not all that outlandish.
I don't think it is. And there's been a lot of chatter I've seen like online about people complaining that it's kind of a jump the shark moment. And I really don't think it is. I I don't think it's more than anything. I mean, we saw like, a 1,000,000-year-old man in the Last Crusade, and people were fine with that.
Right. Well, I feel like you just have to accept that like every Indiana Jones movie ends with a little bit of a jump the shark moment, and that's part of the appeal. Like that's part of what happens.
You just have to roll with it. I did think about you in the movie when he was like, I don't believe in magic, but I've seen things, because you called that out last time where it's like,
he's like,
bro.
Exactly. It's like, all right, you've seen literal Nazis dripping, all of these things. Like,
maybe believe. Maybe it's time to believe.
Maybe at least consider that this is a possibility.
We keep trying to stop talking about Dial of Destiny, and I keep bringing us back, so apologies. But I do feel like this villain may be the best Indiana Jones
I would
villain.
agree. Well, because like none of the other ones really... I don't really have a distinct memory of the villain from the the villains from the first three movies.
Yeah, it kind of changed. Yeah.
And like the one in Crystal Skull was good, but not as good as this one.
It's just a good plot. It's a long con. The way that we see it in the beginning, the way that it comes back. His plan, like I said, is a good and clever villainous plan. So I think that really stood out to me too. So yeah. I like it.
Thumbs up.
I like it.
I also have to say, as a mathematician, I did appreciate the Archimedes references.
That's right.
That was kind of fun.
That's right. That's your background.
Yes. It was like, never have I heard so many people talking about Archimedes in such a short period of time.
Yeah. And the reference to which Archimedes is. Yeah.
I was like, all right.
So that spoke to you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's move on to some other things, and we may talk about Dial of Destiny again.
It might just
if anything
come
comes up, we'll have to do it. I feel like we need to do this more than monthly, because I saw so many things, Allie. I'm just going to hit you with them quickly.
Okay.
Here they are. I watched the Fast and Furious movies 5 through 9.
Oh my gosh. That just as a statement.
Every couple of years, I'm like, I'm going to try a Fast and Furious movie, and I typically don't like them, but for whatever reason, I don't know.
It just keeps coming back.
I was kind of like, let's do it. I liked 8 quite a bit. 9, not so much, but whatever. I watched 65 with Adam Driver, which was a good time.
Okay.
That's where he's like, he's in Earth's past, and he crash lands on Earth, and like dinosaurs are coming. And
man.
A meteor's about to hit Earth. It's a lot of stuff going
I like
on.
Adam Driver.
Pretty good. Yeah. I watched A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks. Not so great.
Amanda was telling me about that
Did
recently.
she like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She did.
Yeah, it was fine. I would call it fine. And then I watched Fall. Have you heard about Fall?
I don't think I have.
It's where these two like climb I don't even know, some kind of like antenna tower that's like whatever, a huge distance, and then they're trapped at the top of this tower. And the movie's just kind of them figuring out how we're going to get down.
That doesn't sound very fun to me, I got to say.
You? Okay. That's probably it for movies wise. You could check all of those out. We have all of them here in the collection. In fact, I checked most of them out.
Nice.
Flash, I liked.
Okay.
I liked.
All right.
It a lot of things people complain about. I'm like, yeah, those are weird choices. There's some like truly terrible CGI in it. And the directors kind of come out and said like, yeah, we did that on purpose. But I'm like, did you? Did you? Or is it just bad? But I really liked Sasha Calle's Supergirl. I thought she was great. I would love to see more of that character. And I think overall it's a good time. Some good turns that I didn't see coming that I appreciated. You don't care about the DC movies. This is not for you.
Not really, I'm afraid.
That's all right. What did you watch then, movie-wise?
All right, movie-wise. I rewatched Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh.
It was my brother's birthday, and this was his birthday pick. You don't like Fantastic Beasts?
Maybe the most boring movie I've ever seen. Do you like it?
I really like it.
Oh, well,
rewatching it though.
I'm sorry to have insulted you.
No, that's okay. It's okay. I understand why you would feel that way, even though I do like the movie.
Okay.
Rewatching it though, because I've seen it. I think this was probably like the third time, because I watched it in theaters, and then I want to say one other time, and then this time. And there's like this very strong tonal contrast between like Newt just like running around, making random friends, finding his animals, and then like this like dark, like Grindelwald obscurial stuff. And every time it like cut over to the obscurial stuff, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll go get my ice cream now. Like I'll be back.
They can't decide if they're doing like goofy magic shenanigans or like killing babies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I feel like the first time I was like, oh, like there's some of both, and that's cool. But this time I was like, why? Why can't it just only be Newt doing Newt things?
Well, I think this series falls into the trap of like them getting way too far ahead of themselves, because they announced in the very beginning it was going to be 5 movies or something like that before they even like test drove one of them. So I think they had to thread a needle for some big epic conclusion at the end, rather than just like focusing on making a good movie.
Well, and like This has, again, minor spoilers for Fantastic Beasts, but it's been out for years.
I mean, I think
so,
the writing
you know.
did that, but
Fair enough. At the end, when it's revealed that the one character is Grindelwald, I feel like that's a big moment where it's like, if you don't know the Harry Potter series, that is meaningless to you.
yeah.
And like they drop some like newspaper articles at the beginning where it's like Grindelwald is doing all these bad things, but it's like you get to the end and you're like, all right, so this one bad guy is just another bad guy in disguise. Like, I mean, that feels very anticlimactic to me, even knowing what that means.
I think it's probably a safe assumption that people watching these movies are familiar with Harry Potter, but I feel like they also had the opportunity to kind of launch a new franchise that's not so dependent on it. But you're right. Like, I can't imagine somebody coming into the world blank being like, let's just watch this new Eddie Redmayne movie, you know? Like,
right.
That wouldn't work.
But I mean, say you just watched the Harry Potter movies and didn't read the books. Would you remember who Grindelwald is?
I don't think so.
And see, that's exactly what I mean, because I feel like a lot of people just stick with the movies. And if you're like, hey, new movie, you know, who the heck is Grindelwald?
It's not a super approachable movie. I feel like one of my biggest and maybe also lightest complaints of it is that it's meant to be like, here's the magic world, but in America. And it is the most British movie I've ever seen. All the characters are running around like drinking tea and just like calling people non-mage. And it's just like
so funny.
Very British, aggressively British.
Well, and it's also funny that it's like, because it, like, again, it's like the American magic world, but because it's like mostly framed through Newt's perspective, it's like there's the two American sisters.
Yeah.
But it's like whenever they're like, well, Ilvermorny is clearly a better school than Hogwarts. You're like, no, it isn't. Right. Like, we have no reason to care about this.
Even the name of that school is more British than Hogwarts.
It doesn't sound very American.
It doesn't.
I don't know what an American school name should be.
Yeah.
Something really bland sounding, probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, Fantastic Beasts. I also rewatched Knives Out, which was just as good as I remembered.
All right.
So
that's surprising because I feel like with that kind of movie, once you know the pieces, it wouldn't work as well.
See,
but
you think that, but I feel like there's enough like hidden details
that
you can spot that it's like, I don't know, it kind of feels like you're in on the secret and you're just kind of like tracing it. So, and it also been a while since I saw it, so like some of the exactly how things play out was a little fuzzy.
It's a good reminder that Chris Evans is like a fun and enjoyable actor. You know, because Captain America is just played so straight, and you don't get a lot of like personality out of him, which like pre-Captain America, he was like famously personality, you know, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, or even the Fantastic Four movies or other stuff that he popped up in. It was like,
Captain America is a very like, it's like a white bread kind of character.
I was literally going to say you could cast a loaf of bread as that character.
Like, but it's good. It's nice. It's wholesome. And that's about it. All there is to it, really. Yeah.
Well, I think he's great in that movie, and he wears the heck out of that sweater. There's no arguing that.
Oh, my goodness. It is a movie of good sweaters also. Because Anna de Armas' outfits throughout are fantastic. But I also rewatched Notting Hill, which
I just saw Ringo Starr.
I watched this with my parents when I was like young enough that I didn't understand that much of it. And I thought it was fun, but this time watching it, I was like, wow, this is so much funnier than I remembered, which definitely means I'm old enough to understand the jokes now. So, so that was a win.
In the end, when he's pretending to be a journalist for what, Horse and Hound? And he's like, does the film have any horses in it? Or hounds? Our readers are equally interested in both.
Right?
So
oh,
funny.
My goodness.
So great. That's like peak Hugh Grant. I love it.
Peak awkward Hugh
so
Grant.
Great. It really is. I mean, Julia Roberts great in that as well.
Yes. And I also rewatched The Librarian's Quest for the Spear because Indiana Jones did put me in the mood for it. Good.
Wait, did you watch any Young Indiana Jones Chronicles?
Not yet. Okay. I do intend to, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
One of these days.
I'll report back when I do.
So we can just extend the Indiana Jones conversation
just forever.
Which is basically, Harrison Ford's plan. So that's on point.
So yes, that's what I've been watching lately.
I actually looked to see where that was streaming. And I think it's on Peacock. I think the Librarian movies are on Peacock because my son is still just like in an Indiana Jones movie mood. And I was like, what else is there?
Where did I watch it? I think it might be on Amazon Prime, which you don't have to.
I don't know because they're my nemesis. So we have the DVDs. I can check out the DVDs.
Right. Yeah,
but
that works.
Do you think my son coming off of a Crystal Skull high would like the Librarians?
I think he probably
would. You think he'd get in on it? Okay. Anything else for you movie-wise?
Nope, that's it.
It's pretty. You didn't watch not a single Fast and Furious movie.
Not a single Fast and Furious movie.
10 or
I
11.
magically avoided all of them for the last month.
Yeah, and the last 20 years.
And the last 20 years.
Prior to that. They're objectively bad movies, but something about it is kind of enjoyable.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, I'm not recommending them. I'm just saying.
Okay.
How about TV shows? What are you watching?
Still just Superman and Lois.
I just finished season 3.
Oh, man.
I just finished season 3. And, you know, it was this whole, like, for months, it's been, is it canceled? Or are they going to renew it? And I was stressing all that before I saw the finale, which is, like, such a cliffhanger.
Oh,
so
no.
had they canceled it, I never would have forgiven them, as I still haven't gotten over the cancellation of Lois and Clark, which ended on a cliffhanger in, like, 1997. That
I
has
love
remained,
Lois and Clark. What a great show.
never been resolved, that cliffhanger.
I don't think I got to the ending, though.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. It did get a little mushy by the end, but
gotta
regardless, I loved Superman and Lois season 3. I'm ready for season 4. I can't wait to have it. Are you still in season 1? Where are you at?
say. We finished season 1 and have just started season 2.
Okay.
And it's like new drama has been introduced. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you guys,
I know.
get it together.
I know.
But I do appreciate that overall. Like, there's so many movies and TV shows where it's just like, for no reason, these characters can't communicate whatsoever. And that's the entire source
Yeah.
of the drama.
Yeah.
And I feel like Superman and Lois will like faint at that. And then they'll be like, just kidding. Our
Yeah.
characters are going to
We're gonna
communicate.
talk.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So many things. It's just like pick up a phone, just
I
text the
know.
person and find
like,
out.
so
your
many
answer.
rom-coms would last like 20 minutes if people just like know how to
just
speak
use
to
phone,
each
yeah,
other.
just use phone etiquette.
Yeah.
If they're in the room with you, just ask the question.
Right?
But, yeah.
It's really easy. Don't make
Okay.
assumptions.
Superman and Lois. What else you
Superman
got?
and Lois. I'm rewatching Mrs. Maisel with a couple of my friends who
Okay.
haven't seen it. So
All
I'm
right.
like seeing the early stuff just after seeing the
Oh.
late stuff.
Okay.
So it's been kind of fun.
All right. The Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New Worlds is back. So I've been watching that. I think that's a train you got to get on.
Okay.
Because it's pretty standalone, and the episodes are designed, it's episodic, you know, so like every one, you could basically watch any episode.
That's
It'd
kinda
be pretty
fun.
good, but it's a really strong cast, and I think the writing is just great. So I think with you, because you have like a vague Star Trek history, right?
Yeah.
You like a little Star Trek
Yeah.
in your life. Okay. So I think Strange New Worlds,
Okay.
which we have the DVD. You can
All
watch
right.
it here on a disc. And then I just finished the first season of Platonic on Apple Plus with Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen. Really good, really fun. I didn't realize that there was only 10 episodes or whatever. And so it said season finale, and I was like, no, because this has been like my go-to happy show.
I do hate it when that happens. It's like,
not
why
good.
isn't there
It's
more
not
of
fun.
this?
I want more of it.
I know.
I also started watching One Day at a Time, which is like, I want to say a 70s Norman Lear sitcom with Valerie Bertinelli, which I'd never seen before, but I just read Valerie Bertinelli's autobiography Enough already, and I was like, well, now I got to go watch that show.
That makes sense.
So the book was good, and the show is good.
Excellent.
Yeah. What are you reading?
So reading-wise, I've got a few things going on.
Let me
So-
have it.
Caleb and I are reading Gaudy Night out loud because we've been like working our
Okay.
way through.
This is still Sayers, Dorothy
This
Sayers?
is still Dorothy Sayers.
Okay.
So Gaudy Night I read this spring, and I was like, this is so good. You
Yeah.
have to read it.
Keep the train rolling.
I'm going to read all the ones that come before out loud with
Yeah.
you, and then this one to make sure that you read it. And Caleb was like, all right, fair enough. So we
he's-
finally
he's just-
made it here.
He's rolling bagel dough while you're reading.
Actually, he started crocheting. I've like
Oh.
transferred some of my crocheting power over
Okay.
to him.
Okay.
He's like been working on this seal for the last few days.
Okay.
And it's like
Seal.
a seal.
Okay.
Like a
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I didn't think you meant Kiss from a Rose seal, but yeah, I get it.
Yes. So there's that. I'm also reading a very large novel called Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman for a book club.
Okay.
And it's going to take me forever to finish it, but I've just accepted that.
We're going to be talking about this book for the next however many bookshelves.
I'll try to like only mention it every so often.
No,
so it
you do
doesn't
you,
just
whatever.
keep coming
The
back.
people need to know.
Yes. So there's that.
Okay.
I'm also listening to an audiobook called Imogen, Obviously, by Becky Albertalli.
Okay, I don't know that one.
This is a newer one. I feel like it just came out a couple months ago. But it's this character who's like convinced that she's like definitely straight. And she goes to visit her friend at college and hangs out with all of her queer
Maybe
friends.
not.
And she's like, wait a second,
Hold on a
am I
minute."
not
Okay.
actually straight? So
fun.
it's been kind of fun so far.
Yeah.
It's just the main character is very like endearing, which I think is really making it work.
Okay, that sounds good. My audiobook at the moment is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, which is he reads it, so he's
Oh,
there
man.
I was. It's very funny.
That's funny.
This was one Malik recommended to me. I think he listened to the audiobook and just like raved about it. So my hold finally came in, so I'm reading that. I'm also reading a little manga series called Spy Family.
Spy Family. I wonder why you're reading that.
Yes, I have a huge stack of them on my desk over here. So
Excellent. Excellent.
This is my next assignment post Indiana Jones. I'm reading Spy Family, and we just got the anime here in as well on
Ooh.
Blu-ray. So I might watch a little bit of that when the time comes.
I would definitely support that.
So I'm doing Spy Family, and then I'm reading Indiana Jones and the Sky Pirates by Martin Caidin.
Oh.
So it's good. It's interesting.
All right.
So far, it doesn't feel very Indiana Jonesy. It feels more
Oh.
like they wanted to write a book about Sky Pirates, but that's okay.
I mean,
it's all right. I'm liking it.
Sky Pirates. What can you say?
Here are some things that I finished. So I worked in elections, so I read like 1 million graphic novels, and I'm not going to tell you all of them.
Okay.
But I will tell you that I read one called Spider-Man Fake Red by Yusuke Osawa. And this was like manga style, and it was about a kid who found a Spider-Man suit, and Spider-Man is missing, and he ends up sort of doing some low-key Spider-Man things to kind of keep the Spider-Man mythos going. And you see flashbacks to Peter Parker, and, you know, I'm not going to tell you how it resolves. But I think it was really well done. I don't think there's a volume 2, but I would read it if there was.
Okay.
It's a very nicely contained story. So that was really good. I've been reading Superman, Son of Kal-El, which is about John Kent, Superman's son, who becomes the mainstream Superman while Superman is, like, off-world. And it's really good. I read the first 2 volumes. I liked it quite a lot. Volume 1's a little more cohesive than Volume 2, but I'm in for the story. So I need to get Volume 3 now, which is out. I read one that I think that you should read, and it's called Captain Carter by Jamie McKelvey, and it's just a 6-issue Captain Carter kind of a what-if story that was really good. So
that does sound like something that I want to read.
Yeah. I read it on the Marvel app. I don't know if it's in print. It probably is, but it was good. It was just sort of like, all right, here's Peggy Carter unfrosted. What are we going to do with her?
Excellent.
And it was pretty solid. Went in a direction I didn't anticipate. Odd direction, but I liked it anyway. I read one called Extinction by Bradley Summer. This is about basically the Earth is sort of a desolate wasteland, and there's a couple of people like still on planet, I don't know, fighting the good fight. And he was essentially like a game warden tracking the last known bear, like a black bear.
Huh.
And he's trying to protect the bear from poachers, and that was it.
Huh.
So I think it would have been a killer short story. Not a great novel, but I liked the concept a lot.
It does sound like a small concept for a whole novel.
It was. It really was. And they tried to like bring in some other elements and stuff. It ended well, so that kind of pushed it up a star. But I think it being, I don't even know if it could sustain a novella, honestly. But a short story, I think it would have been killer. You know, in some sort of like post-apocalyptic anthology would have done really well. And that's pretty much it for me. You got anything else going on in the world?
Well, let's see. Just miscellaneous things.
Okay.
Have we talked on the podcast about the fact that I have 5 crayfish now?
No.
I don't think we've
discussed
addressed
your
this.
history of crayfish on how's things, but I don't think people know about
the crayfish.
Yeah, how you've extended your family.
It's like the dial of destiny of crayfish.
Yeah, that's right.
So my friend is a teacher, and she had some crayfish in her classroom to do science with.
As you do, sure.
And she was like, I can't have these anymore. The school year is ending. I happen to know that you once upon a time had a crayfish. Do you want these?
Just hit us with the name again of your crayfish.
Pinch. Well, Pinch Jr.
Pinch and Pinch Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a whole murder-suicide thing with a frog. I want to say if
it was tragic.
Right.
You can catch the whole story on House Things.
That's right, yep.
But so far the crayfish have been there's been minimal tragedy amongst these new crayfish.
Minimal, but not none?
They did cannibalize one the first night. There were 6.
Oh my gosh.
It's possible that he would have died anyway. We don't know.
So it was like a mercy killing, you're saying?
Well, I mean, it's possible that he just was like died because he was so freaked out by the shock, and then they were like, well, we might as well eat him.
We can't let it go to waste.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's how crayfish
it's a real
are.
crayfish eat crayfish world over there at the
It
Fesmeyer
really
house.
is.
Yowzer. Okay.
So we like speed got a tank together, and like I like went to the hardware store, and I was like, I need PVC connectors, you know, for them to like crawl in and hide in.
You are the only person that I've met in my life who has had not 1 but 2 crayfish emergencies. So I don't know how this keeps happening to you, but
it's my destiny. That's all I have to say.
It's your blessing. It's your curse. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But the guy at the hardware store, when he was like, "Oh, what project are you working on?" I was like, "Well, I have crayfish, and they need PVC pipes to crawl in." He was like, I can't help you here. There are the PVC pipes. Like, have at it.
Yeah, he was going to help you remodel your kitchen. But,
I know.
But
I was
keep
like,
crayfish
well,
alive?
not today.
No.
So yes, that's mainly what's been going on.
Do they have names?
They don't have names, partly because, well, it's taken a little while.
Each other, so.
Well, Caleb is like paranoid that if we name them, that's when a bunch of them will like immediately die.
Okay.
So we've put it off slightly for that reason. And it's
Real
also
superstitious fella.
Yeah, I
Caleb.
know.
Okay.
Usually I don't think he is, but in this instance, I'm like, all right.
Name that crayfish, they're dead. Maybe he secretly named number 6 and didn't tell you.
Maybe.
And that one bit it, and he's like, well,
we
do that
can't.
again.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
All right.
It's also a little hard to tell which one is which. It's getting easier because they've molted a lot, which is like when they shed their exoskeleton and they're like, I'm bigger now.
Do you do that thing like parents do with twins where you dress them all the same? Because that could be the problem.
They're not really wearing any clothing.
Oh,
so
okay. All right. I don't know.
I'm going to write this down.
I don't know the
Dress
etiquette.
crayfish differently.
Yeah, I would
but
recommend.
There is one that's particularly small that we call the little guy.
Yeah.
And so we have like little almost like pet names for them where we're like, oh, like, hello, Mr. Big Guy or that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But we have yet to give them like proper names.
So it's not like little big guy and then like, and this one is Michael. There's nothing like that. Okay.
Not like that.
Can one be Michael when you get to the names? Because I think that would be a great
see.
crayfish
It would be
name.
a good crayfish name.
I do like animals and pets named like just regular old human names.
Like David.
Yeah.
David A. Meow.
Yeah, like David A. Meow. Yeah. Or if
it always sounds so dignified when you're like, David, what are you doing?
If you had a crayfish named Jeffrey, I think that would be beautiful.
Especially if it's like a really
you.
pretentious human name that you might not even use on a human, like Percival.
Percival the crayfish. That's a children's book. I think we should co-write it.
Oh, man.
Okay. So far, so good. Minus
so good.
the one who
Minus the first incident.
untimely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I went to a Tori Amos concert.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I wasn't intending to go to a Tori Amos concert, but my wife and her sister were going to go, and then her sister threw her back out. And so she asked multiple people, and nothing would work out. And so I was like, well, let's do it. I'll go. So I went to Tori Amos knowing nothing about Tori Amos. I've never gone this blind into a concert in my entire life.
Oh, my goodness.
So it was a cool area. It was Lewiston. It was an art park up in Lewiston, which is like basically Canada. So there's a lot of like outdoor parts of it. I've seen some other shows there before. And so we had really good seats. Tori Amos uses multiple pianos. So at one point she's like, right hand on a keyboard, left hand on like a grand piano, just like
oh my gosh,
playing
that's
her heart out.
crazy.
People were very into it. I kind of liked Ocean to Ocean is the tour, and Ocean to Ocean is like her new album. And so she played some cuts off that, and I feel like I kind of liked those better. And my wife was obviously psyched for like the classic stuff.
Right.
But I was kind of like, yeah, I like this new stuff, and maybe I was the only one. Because usually when you go to a concert and they're like, we're going to play the new stuff, everybody's like, that's a bathroom break.
I know.
But
well, and it's so weird, too,
liked
because
it.
it's like, you go on tour because you made a new album.
Yeah.
Like, that's how that happens.
Yeah.
And then you get to your tour, and all of your fans are like, what's this
People
new
don't wanna
stuff?
hear it. Yeah,
we don't want
they
any
want to
of
hear the
this.
stuff from 1997.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Taylor Swift knows how it's done with just being like, overview of all of my old music.
Yeah. So it was pretty good. While we were waiting, I read Alligator Loki on the Marvel app, and that was also a pretty fun time.
That does sound like a fun time.
Yeah, it was all wordless comics, just hijinks comics, and it was fun.
I like some good hijinks.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Well, anything else for the good of the bookshelf?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, remember, if you're local, you can come in and visit the actual But Have You Tried bookshelf, where you can
Yes.
see all of the things that we're watching and reading and talking about. We do have an Indiana Jones theme up right now. And the lower
Yes.
shelf, though, will be all the stuff that we talked about today.
Maybe we can
it's
find
in print
something
form. There won't be live
crayfish-related.
crayfish there, but maybe we can
crayfish
find
books.
we can find a book or something like that. So in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about the manga series Spy Family. We'll probably talk a little bit about the anime if I can get an episode or two in there. And then I'll have to assign Allie something new.
Something new.
So we'll see. I've got a few things kicking around in my head. Okay. Well, then I guess that's it.
Yeah.
We'll close up shop on the But Have You Tried bookshelf. I guess I was waiting for you to say goodbye or something, but it's okay.
I'm never really sure what to say, so I'm just kind of like, well, the episode is
It's
ending.
over. It's done. Yeah, you just get
Go home, folks.
out the door.